Whether it's your first time here or you call CSL Dallas your spiritual home, we are grateful that you made it here today, wherever you're watching us from in the world. As a reminder, you can always find inspirational content, information on all our upcoming courses, and ways to stay connected to your spiritual family by visiting CSLDallas.org. We have so much in store for you today, so let's get it started. Put your hands together for the CSL Dallas music team.
Good morning, and welcome to the last Sunday celebration of August 2021 at CSL Dallas. We are grateful that you are staying spiritually connected with us today via live stream. No matter where you are, we invite you to check in with social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with your friends and family who may be looking for lots of positive, practical spirituality. CSL Dallas is a special place to call your spiritual home because we are radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, all about transforming lives. Let me share with you some announcements. The Core Council, along with our leadership team, are closely monitoring the guidelines set by Dallas County and will provide recommendations for in-person events for September. So stay tuned. September is packed with a whole wide variety of courses and workshops to assist you in your personal growth and your spiritual development. One course is Spiritual Economics. If you Google financial abundance, you will get approximately 460 million results in 0.79 seconds. It's something we all want, but not all of us are quite sure how to manifest abundance. If your finances are off track, change the trajectory in only 7 weeks with Spiritual Economics, How to Live a More Abundant Life. Beginning September 7th, Reverend Karen will share proven techniques that will help you end the cycle of feast and famine forever in this 7-week course. Another course is that you are good enough. 85% of the world population is affected by a lack of self-worth and self-love. Are you a part of that group? Discover that you really are already good enough in a 2-hour workshop. Yes, you are good enough, building self-worth and living self-love with Dr. Petra. Be empowered to feel good about yourself in a way that goes beyond popular self-help and social media promises. Discover that you're who you really are and that you are good enough. Mark your calendars for September 12th. Then finally, beyond the law of attraction. Are you ready to go beyond manifesting material things to manifesting peace, a greater use of your talents, and a more fulfilling life experience? Beyond the Law of Attraction is a 3-week course led by Dr. Petra and Chris Miller. It's designed to equip you with practical tools and powerful processes that will support your journey to deep spiritual realization. Mark your calendars for a September 23rd start. Now, we are so grateful that you are able to join us this morning and hope that you decide to support all the good works in our community by making a generous contribution. Please know that your giving allows us to do so much more good work in the world, and we appreciate you. There are a few ways that you can give online. You can donate on Facebook. You can donate at CSLDallas.org. You can text by texting to 972-954-4404. Now, as we reflect on the abundance that is always available to us, please join us in singing, I Open Up.
Open up. I invite you to join me anchoring this idea, this concept in prayer by breathing in together and opening up the energy to the one life, the one mind, the one presence, the one love, the one thing that is happening here, which is life. The one thing that is happening anywhere and everywhere, which is life. The one thing that is happening in, as, and through each one of us as we open up and recognize it is simply seeking to express and experience humanity, the experience of being human in, as, and through us. I open up to the one. I open up my heart, my mind, my soul. I open up. This morning, let us open up to the wisdom as shared in, as, and through Michael Grundy. This morning, let us open up to what the music team has to gift us with. through the melodies, the harmonies, the lyrics, and the emotion. Let us open up to spirit. Let us open up to love. Let us open up to Spirit's highest vision for life individually and life collectively. Let us open up. And in that opening, let us be grateful for the opportunity to experience life and to experience life together in this celebration service. Let us be grateful, and let us anchor this gratitude in a knowing and a faith that recognizes there is only God and nothing else. Take a breath. And let us anchor this together. Aho, Ashe, Amen, Amen. And so it is.
Good morning. Inseparable connection for August. First, let me make sure you know that this is not me. This is not me. That's Reverend Patty, that's Reverend Karen, that's Dr. Tracy, Reverend Petra, but this is not me. This is me. Not the one with the glasses, not the blonde, or the other, the one in the middle. This is me. And I'm a perfect example of CSLDallas, and we say we are radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, transforming lives. And we're talking about unity, not uniformity. Now, we've been talking about inseparable connection for the whole month of August. We start off the beginning of the month with Dr. Tracy Brown and Reverend Karen talking about from Namaste to Ubuntu. And Namaste means that we recognize the divine spark in each other when we greet each other. Ubuntu means that we are interdependent. I am because you are. The next Sunday, Dr. Tracy came with some new words that we hadn't heard before. And she told us about Sawabono, we see you, and Sakono, share your true self. Then she talked about how greatness is not sameness. That she brought a whole bouquet of flowers in, and she talked about they were all flowers, but they were not the same. They were each unique. And then last Sunday, she talked about we're stronger together. And she had an example of a football team and how football players each have a different position and they each do different things. And if they excel at their own position, then the team is stronger because they're together. Well, today, what we're going to talk about is inseparable connection and unity, not uniformity. Now, I know that to some people, they think that, well, this is just another way that we're just saying the same thing. Isn't it the same message that we got from Reverend Karen? Isn't it the same message that we got from Dr. Tracy? Well, I'll even admit that, yeah, it's probably about the same. But there's power in repetition. That's how we learn. And different speakers say things differently, and they resonate with us differently. So some speakers may have a classical bent, and that may turn you on. Some may have a jazz style, and that may be it. Others may have an R&B or hip-hop style, and that may be what turns you on. So even though some of the same things may be said, maybe you'll hear it a little bit different. For one thing, you'll hear it my way, and my way is a little bit different than their way. So I've been studying this speaking thing for a long time, and I know how to be a good speaker. I know how to come up with a good introduction, a good body conclusion, and how to do all those powerful things. But my dad used to always make fun of speaking, I guess, and he would always tease me and say, Michael, really, speaking is just this. You tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So I'm going to do just like what my dad said. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what I told you. So what I'm going to tell you first is I'm going to tell you about unity is not uniformity, okay? And I'm going to give you a definition of unity and uniformity to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all at the same level, okay? And then I'm going to follow up that definition probably with a real nice quote from Ernest Holmes that makes it really stick in your mind so you really do get it. And then I'll tell you some anecdotes so you'll be able to understand it even a little bit better, and possibly a good story because we all learn through stories. And then we're going to top it off even with a special musical surprise. All the different ways that we learn. So let's start off with inseparable connection. Unity is being together at one, okay? Unity is something that can't be divided. It's oneness. Uniformity is the quality of being uniform. That's when everybody is the same. Now, around here, we would say that unity means that we all come from that same source. And uniformity means that we don't have to be the same. We don't have to look alike, talk alike, be alike, act alike, none of that stuff. Unity does not require uniformity. Now, that's not just a new age or metaphysical term or philosophy. That's really true in all great religions. If you look at all the religions, you would find that is still the same. You know, if you look at the Jewish religion, you know, Jewish religion, they all have one thing in common. They all believe in that same God. But there are several different sects of Jewish and several ways that you can be Jewish. Matter of fact, they even started off with 12 different tribes. So right from the beginning, there was differences right there. And not just in Jewish. If you were Islamic, if you were Muslim, there are several different ways to be a Muslim, and there are all different sects of being Muslim and all different ways of being that. It's that same idea that they have one source, one God, but several different ways of showing it. Christianity, when I was a kid, I used to wonder, why are there so many different churches? You know, different denominations, this, that, and the other. But now as I got older, I realized that they all believe that same thing. They all believe in a God, and they believe in a Jesus, or they believe in a heaven. They have that same source of belief. But there's just many different ways that can show up. And sometimes it shows up as a Baptist, as a Catholic, as a Presbyterian. There are many different ways that can show up. It's the same idea that unity is not uniformity. So Ernest Holmes would put it like this. He would say, unity does not mean uniformity, or unity with other people does not mean that we must think and act as they do. All it means is that we should get along with them. We should unify with everything, while at the same time keeping intact and hold that God-given something at the center of our being, which is the spiritual ego. We are allowed to be different. We want to be different. We should be different. It's about being who you are, and we can still be united in that way. So, I told you the definition. I even gave you the good quote that I promised you, right? Well, let me tell you my anecdote, okay? I believe that life is like a cake. Like a cake. Now bear with me when I tell you about this one, okay? If you were making a cake, now, I'm not real good at this cooking thing, so I might get some of the ingredients wrong. But if you were making a cake, you'd put in some sugar and some flour and some eggs and all those different ingredients to make up a really, really good cake. And you'd shove it in the oven and you'd bake it at whatever that temperature is, and you'd pull it out and you'd have a nice, nice cake, right? Now, if you cut that cake into a square piece, or a triangle piece, or a circular piece, or a big piece, or a small piece, it wouldn't even matter. All of those pieces would still have the same ingredients. It wouldn't matter if it was a big piece, small piece. They would all have the same flour, the same sugar, the same ingredients that came from their source. And that's the way I see life is. Now, I don't want to get you confused. Some people may call it different things. So whether you call it God, spirit, life, or whatever you call it, I think that that's what it's like, just like a cake. And each of us are a different piece of that cake. Some of us are big, some of us are small, some of us are square, some of us are rectangle, but we all have those same ingredients. And because of that, we can relate to each other. And we can also relate to our source. We can relate to our Creator. We have the same things in us that our Creator would have in it. And what would that be? Well, if you're a creator, you're creative. That means you make stuff. And that's the same thing that we do. We create our world. We determine what our world would look like. And we have the exact same ingredients to do that come in the big cake. So if it takes courage, if it takes inspiration, if it takes strength, whatever it takes, we have those same talents within us. And we can be that unique. Now, I've got a favorite movie that I really like, okay? And I like it because it talks about this very thing. It's the story of P.T. Barnum. Now, most of us have heard of P.T. Barnum because he was the guy who started the big circuses, right? Well, in the beginning, P.T. Barnum, his exhibits were dead. He had exhibits of things that were strange, but they had no life. You know, just pieces of junk type stuff. And him and his wife and his kids, they went out and tried to sell tickets, and they couldn't sell tickets to anybody to come to the show. And his kids came to him and said, you know, Dad, you know, if you had some live exhibits, maybe you'd be able to attract some live people. But by having dead exhibits, you don't seem to get nothing but dead people. And he thought about it. You know, sometimes kids can have some good wisdom. And he thought about it, and he said, well, okay. So he went out looking for people that were different. Now, some folks may call them freaks or whatever, but they were people that were different. But what they had was talent. and he convinced them to come to be a part of his circus. So he went to like the little midget guy, and he explained to him, you know, in your wildest dreams, what would you like to do? Wouldn't you like to be a general and in a nice uniform and to ride a big horse and ride? Yeah, he could see himself doing that. He signed up. He found the bearded woman washing clothes in the laundry and singing, convinced her that she had a skill, she had a talent, and something that could be used. The three-legged man, the same thing, the tattooed person, all different people who had different ways of showing up in the world, but all still serving that same purpose, that purpose of entertaining, providing entertainment to others. Now, the thing about that that's really good, that I really like the best, is that they have a song that I just really love, that really talks about how important it is for us to be who we are. And this is an example of just that.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause they don't want you broken heart.
hey, this is me. Now, wasn't that a diverse crowd of singers? Did you notice that? They didn't all look alike. They didn't all sing the same parts, but they sang in unison, and they were united. And it was a special song. And it was a special song because if you notice Stephanie Rowan, the lady who started off giving the testimony about This Is Me, she is one of the 3 angels that we lost recently at CSLDallas and made their transition. And we wanted to make sure that we did that song, at least in honor of her, and it also just happened to fit with the topic. We lost a white-haired lady named Reagan Holtz, who introduced me to storytelling. We lost a redhead named Pam Arnold, who was one of our newest practitioners. And we lost one of our great singers, Stephanie, the lady with no hair. And one of the good things about all of them is that they show us how important it is for us to be who we are and to do it now while we are here. So, back to our message. We are united, and unity does not require uniformity. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little something special, okay? Because a lot of times we get a good message at church or at the mosque or the temple or wherever we might worship at, and it has some great philosophical ideas, some great psychology, some great theology, but I want to make sure that you got something that you can take home with you and you can start working this like right now, okay? How can you take a message that talks about unity is not uniformity and actually start doing something with that? And what I think is the key, and the key is that if you really listen closely, the key is just being authentic. That's the key. Be authentic. The thing that we know when we talk about that one source, God, life, whatever it is, it's in everything, everywhere, and it's infinite. Infinite means that there's so many different ways and it can show up in so many ways that it can manifest that we can't even imagine the number, but a multitude of ways that Spirit can work through us. And because of that, each one of us is unique. There's no 2 snowflakes that look alike, no 2 blades of grass that look alike, no 2 people. There never has been none like you and never will be another like you. You are unique. And what I've learned is that that's where our superpower lies, in our uniqueness, understanding that we are unique, that what we bring to the table, that's what's special. You know, there's a whole lot of ways people tell you. They say, hey, be yourself because everybody else is taken. Don't try to be a copy. Don't try to be a duplicate. Just be yourself. Well, the way I always heard it was, find your own voice. Find your own voice. Years and years ago, when I first got interested in doing public speaking, motivational speaking, I followed all the great speakers. I mean, I listened to everybody who I thought was a good speaker. It didn't matter whether it was Tracy Brown, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, anybody who had a name in speaking, I followed them. And I checked out what they were saying and how they said it. I memorized the same quotes, told the same stories. I got real good at being them. And I joined groups like Toastmasters, National Speakers Association, and I got a chance to be around some great speakers, people that I had admired from a distance for a long time. And I got a chance to hang out with some of those folks. And you know what they would tell me? They would say, Michael, you know, you're a good speaker, but what you really have to do is find your own voice. Find your own voice. Now, for a long time, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't quite know what they meant. You know, and I would still maybe try to use a quote that I had heard somebody else use or say something that somebody else had said. I didn't quite get it. But when I did understand what it meant to find my own voice, to do it my own way, to tell my own stories, to come up with my own quotes, to do it my way, and just be the best Michael that I could be. When I did that, then things started to change. That's when it happened. If you try to just be a bass player that plays like Stanley Clarke, Jonathan, you won't be the best bass player because you can't be a Stanley Clarke, but you can be the best Jonathan Fisher that we ever know playing that bass. It's hard for us to copy someone else, but we can be authentic. And that's what works, being authentic. I heard I heard Oprah tell a story about the exact same thing. You know, back in the 80s, I'm old enough to remember the 80s, maybe some of you can't, but if you were back in the 80s, we had talk show hosts out of the gazoo. I mean, everybody was a talk show host. Geraldo Rivera was a talk show host. Phil Donahue was a talk show host. There was a lady that used to wear the big round red glasses. That was Sally Jesse Raphael was a talk show. We had tons of those people out there doing that stuff. And Oprah said that she wanted to be a talk show host. And she was copying Barbara Waters, because that was the best female that she knew doing that. And she got real good at being a Barbara Waters, she said, but she didn't get good at being herself. And when she discovered that it was about her being her authentic self, that's when things took off for her. Now, if it can work for a billionaire like Oprah, it probably can work for the rest of us too. It's all about being authentic and being yourself, being who you are. I've learned it works. But now the tricky part gets to be too, though, we can't just accept that for ourselves, and ourselves being authentic, and ourselves being who we want to be. We've got to let other people have that same freedom. We've got to give that same freedom to our children, to our spouses, to our friends. We have to let them be who they are. And that can be a tough one. You know, when my son was in college, years and years ago, when I lived in St. Louis, we sent him off to Jackson State in Mississippi to go to school. And he did okay, but he didn't do as well as we thought he could do. So we brought him back to St. Louis so he could go to St. Louis, so he could get a little hands-on attention so we could watch him a little closer. And he did okay there, but, you know, it got to be around April time frame, time to enroll for school for the next semester. And I kept going. I said, Kendrick, have you signed up? Have you enrolled? And nothing would happen. And I said, Kendrick, have you signed up? And nothing would happen. Then finally, one day, he came to me and his mom, and he said, you know, I'm really not into this school thing. You know, only reason I went to Jackson State, Mom, is because that's where you went. And the only reason I want to study computers is because that's what you guys do. But that's not what I want to do. He said, I don't want to go to school. Now, for me, you know, a little sidebar, okay? My commitment was, I'll help you out with 2 years of school. And after that, you're on your own. And I had already helped him out with 2 years of school. So if you don't want to go to school, that's fine with me. But you can't stay up in here. We don't play that around my house. Back to the story, though. Kendrick decided that he wanted to detail cars. He wanted to wash cars. Now, this is what we heard from all of our family and friends. You mean you got two parents with master's degrees who got a whole bunch of money who do very well, and they're going to let you run off and wash cars, and that's what you're going to do? But that's what he wanted to do with his life. And it was really strange, you know. He had decided that he wanted to go. And the decision was, well, you got 30 days, and you got to be gone because you want to go out and do it on your own. After about 2 weeks, his mom went on a business trip. That boy couldn't dare stay 2 more weeks with me, and he got his butt on a bus and went to Seattle and started a car washing business. And you know what? He did very well. And for me as a parent, you know, you have to, one, come to grips with the fact that your children may not want to do what you want them to do. The thing is to let them be who they are. And when I let him be who he was, he turned out to be a pretty decent business person. You know, he didn't necessarily do it my way, but he did it his way. And it was his life, so that's how it should have been done in the first place. We all should have that kind of freedom. So if you're going to be authentic, which you should be, and be your authentic self, be your true self, be willing to let other people be the same. So if they don't show up in the same color that you show up, let them be who they are. If they don't show up at the same gender, let them be who they are. Let them live their life the way they want to live their life. And you do the same. See, many of us, what we do is the same thing that we do to other people. We listen to what other people say we should do with our lives. Oh, you should live like this. You should have it like this. You should do it this way. But since there are infinite numbers of possibilities of ways of being, none of those have to necessarily be wrong, so you can choose whatever you want to choose. I mean, what happens if you go around living your life for somebody else? You know what might happen? You might end up with somebody else's job. You might end up with somebody else's friends. You might end up with somebody else's spouse. You want to end up with your stuff, not somebody else's stuff. You got to do it your way. And that's how you become successful. That's how you make a difference. Choosing to be authentic. Doing it your way, regardless of what other folks will say. Because there'll be people that'll say, you know, you should sing it a little bit different. You should play those drums a little bit different. You should just do it the way we think it should be done. And that may be good for a while, but it won't get you happiness and it won't get you successfulness. Because when we're not being who we are, who we know we are, then we're not in congruence with ourselves. When you're living a life and you're saying something else over here, it's hard to sleep with yourself at night. It's hard to look at yourself in the mirror knowing that you're not being true to who you should be. Now, I got a perfect example of why that's really, really important, okay? I took my 92-year-old mother to see the Vincent van Gogh exhibit, Immersed in Van Gogh. If you haven't seen it, it is fabulous. It's going all over the country, so whatever city you might be in, sooner or later, maybe it'll come your way. But they show all of his paintings all over the wall and have this great music that's playing, and you just sit on a little cushion and just watch it go by or sit on a chair, and it was fantastic. And for my 92-year-old mother, you know, it was a lot better than her walking around for an hour. She got a chance to just sit still and look at this beautiful, fabulous art. But they also tell you about Van Gogh's life. And some of the stuff we know. We know about him cutting off his ear, that kind of stuff. We know about him shooting himself and killing himself. He committed suicide because he wasn't happy with what was going on in his life. He never got rich. He lived off his brother. Some stories say that he didn't sell very many paintings at all. Some say he only sold one. Some say he was only worth maybe $1,000 to $10,000 when he died. That was it. And that was the end of it for him. But Van Gogh was special because Van Gogh painted his way. He didn't paint the way others painted. He painted the way that he felt, the way that spoke to him out of his heart. And now, hundreds of years later, his paintings sell for millions of dollars. They say his overall collection would be worth $1 billion. That's $1 billion. So my thing is that whatever your thing is, do your thing. And the rest of the world may not catch up for 100 years. Who cares? But do your thing. You know, with all the death going on around lately, and in my life, I've had, for the last 2 weeks, it's been like a person every other day dying. And when people die, you know, it bothers us because we're going to miss them and we love them and we wish that they were here, but it also makes us face our own mortality and realize the fact that, we're not going to always be here, and one of these days it's going to be us that's going to be gone. And my thing is, I don't want to die and not have been me, not have lived my life. I don't want to live your life. I want to live my life. Now, if it takes you guys a couple hundred years to catch up to how smart I was, then that's cool. That can happen with the next generation, like with Van Gogh. But I think that it's important that you live your own life, regardless of whether you get rich now or rich later or whatever that may be. And your thing can be, it doesn't have to be something as big as painting grand pictures. It can be whatever serves your heart, whatever makes a difference to you. I know a lady who skips for a living. You hear me? She skips for a living. Yeah, skips like this. She skips for a living. That's what she does. Can you imagine that? So when people tell you that they can't find a job or they can't do what they want to do or whatever, I'm telling you, I know a lady who skips for a living. Now, how can that happen? She goes out to foundations and people that are trying to raise money, and she says, look, I'll skip a few miles and help you get people that pledge for every mile that I skip, and you'll make money like that. And she makes money skipping for a living. There's a lady who got deep into soap operas, writing soap operas every day. She ended up coming up with the Soap Opera Digest, writing about soap operas, doing a review. You can be you however you want to be you, and it will work. But it won't work if you're trying to be a copy, trying to be somebody else. You know, I've tried to be Tracy Brown, and it didn't work. You know, I'm not near as cute. I don't speak the same way. I don't know near as much. It doesn't work. I tried to speak like Petra Welders, but it doesn't work. I can't get those do you sees out of my mouth quick enough. I've even tried to be like Reverend Karen and Reverend Patty, but none of that stuff works. My hair is not blonde. It's not even gray anymore. It's turning loose. You know, it's altogether different. I have to be me. That's what works for me. Being authentically me. And that's the same thing that will work for you. Being who you are. We are so blessed that we are inseparably connected. We are inseparably connected with our God, our Creator, our Spirit, our life, and with each other. It can't get any better than that. It can't get any better than that. So let me close with my new term that I keep telling myself, okay? And you can do the same thing too, okay? If you live your life your way, being who you want to be, doing what you think you should be doing, but not infringing on nobody else or hurting other people, but just doing your thing, being authentically you, staying connected to your Creator, staying connected with other people, but still doing your thing. If you just do that, you will be successful. Things will go your way. So I want to make a deal with you, okay? See if maybe you can just do 5% more. Just 5% more of being you than what you were before. Just 5% more. And if that works, then next week maybe kick it up another 5% more. Now, it may mean you have to say no to some stuff sometimes, and you may have to say yes to some things, but you get a chance to just be you, okay? And see how it works. And if it works, I say go back and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And remember that we don't have a lot of time. But if you got a chance to be you, and if you did it right today, and if you go to sleep knowing that everything was cool, and you could die tonight and it would be okay, and if you wake up tomorrow, it's a bonus day. So for me, today is a bonus day. And I wish you many, many more bonus days yourself. Let us pray. With closed eyes and bowed heads and open hearts, we come today first being grateful that we are part of that big cake. Regardless of how we show up, we know that we are part of our source. We are part of our Creator. Therefore, we have the same power as our Creator, and we can be creative, and we can create our own lives. We create our own lives by how we think, how we show up, how we act. We create our own lives, how we interact with other people. We create our own lives simply by how we love. By how we love ourselves, how we love others, how we love our world. When we love, we become inseparable. Inseparable with each other, inseparable with God. We make that inseparable connection. When we love, we look at other people and we welcome them, and we realize and recognize the divine in them as they recognize the divine in us. We give them permission to be their authentic self, and we accept them for who they are. When we love, we live in a bigger world where our God is infinite. The possibilities in our lives are infinite. When we love, we realize that we are just a small part of that infinite, that small part of spirit, a small part of life. But we are just as important, just as valuable, have the exact same values. We can create our lives. We can make a difference with our lives. And we are so grateful for this connection with the One. We are so grateful that those things that we wish for, that we want in our lives, if we are willing to focus and work on, we can have them. It's that kind of world. It's that kind of day. It's a bonus day. And we are so grateful for today. We're so grateful for those who have come through and have left us, but have also left their mark. They have proved that they are immortal by doing something worth remembering. And if we want to face our own mortality, realizing that one day that we will not be here, I suggest that we be our authentic selves, do the best that we can by being us, and leaving something to remember. For this we say thank you. Ashe, amen, and so it is.
I think we got some authenticity from Michael Grundy today. And definitely thank you, Michael, for showing us and reminding us that unity does not require uniformity. In fact, we can't have any unity if we're not, each one of us, being our authentic self. So today we have focused, we have celebrated together, and we invite you to take this message and the inspiration that you have experienced out into your week as the music team takes us to close with Love Can Move the World.